Hello developers. Welcome to Full Stack Elixir Pro. Here we discuss strategy and tips for your Elixir journey. This is from scratch until your first wave as an Elixir developer. I am Gustavo, and today's theme is about distributed systems using Elixir. So you can check the comments below and the description, and you probably will see an article explaining more about the steps that we're going to follow in this tutorial and why it's so important to discuss about a distributed system with Elixir. So everyone who start learning Elixir, we always discuss about functional language, concurrency, parallelism, and it's a nice language to work, high scalability. And one of the things that is important, and I think it could be a trend when you use Elixir and for advantage Elixir developers, I think mainly of concurrency and parallelism. We are going to discuss most of the time about costing company. For example, you are spending a lot of time, money with some stuffs and is low. You can use Elixir to make the things maybe easier, probably, and probably decrease the cost for the company. I could explain to you in this video about my Ninja, PubSub, Libby Cluster. I recommend some articles for you to read as well. But we need to understand what we have behind distribution of systems using Elixir, because one of the things that's going to happen, you can use some frameworks and some stuffs and don't understand how it works deeply. And when you understand how it works deeply, you can code with using Elixir easily. For example, I've been using Live View for almost 2 years, I guess. Since that, we have Phoenix 1.4, and we had to install Live View Lib and make some configurations, make some stuffs. And one of the problems that I see is that if you don't understand the OTP and how a Gene server works, how to manipulate states, you probably will get problem. You can get troubles using Live View. And talking about distributed systems, I came across this conclusion, why it's so important to understand how to use that in the behind, using the tools before you implement some frameworks, is that we had a feature, and in this feature we had to read the file. After reading the file, we need to send to external services, but we were testing using our local machine and works really well. But one of the problems that we faced was when we deploying the staging and production, what was happening is that we couldn't read the file. And when we try to read the file, one of the problems that we face is that we've got Kubernetes and we've got our pods, and some pods we have the file and sometimes not. And the Oban, the other stuff's trying to read those files, and the file does not exist. So unfortunately, our solution was start using S3 and external services as well. But when we started calculating the time, we spent like a lot of time to read the files, like around 3 minutes, to follow all these steps in the batch. So unfortunately, this is so slow. And to solve this kind of problems, we are started thinking about strategies using distributed systems, and to use that or distributed caches, for example. It's so important to understand how to implement those informations behind the code. So that's why I decided to record this video teaching you how to use these stuffs behind. And after you learn the steps behind, um, it's going to be easier for you to decide which framework you are going to choose. So I'm gonna share my screen. So this is my screen. Just two terminals. I'm gonna open a little bit more terminals, like one here and one here. I'm gonna use the temps folder, uh, temps folder, and probably what we're gonna do is that I'm going to create a project. I'm going to call product stock. Oops, my bad. Sorry. Um, Mix new product stock. So I'm going to access this folder right here. Same one here. Same one here. And the same one as well in this terminal. So I'm going to clean everything. So let me check. I'm going to open a new desktop. I'm going to open our project. So now I'm going to include this terminal right here. And one of the things that we are going to do, our first step, is to understand basically how nodes and RPC works when we use Elixir. So our first step, I'm going to use a short name to our application. I'm going to say client. I'm going to open one here, server. So if you see my screen, instead of using like a normal IX, as you can see, a normal IX, we just have like IX and the line or the code that we are working on. And right here, we have like an address. So what's happened here? When you use as name, you mention about the name of the application, and use as name, it's a short name basically to use in the same application. When you use only name, you need to pass the name and the IP address. Let's take a look in some examples. First, I have this guy right here, and I have my client. I need to connect on in this application. So what I'm gonna do is using the list. So node, it's a really nice way to list process and in the system and get the access and how to check how to access the other one. So I recommend you to take a look when you use node. So for example, right here. So this is related to virtual machine nodes. It's really nice tool. Recommend you to take a look on Elixir documentation as well. But to connect to a server, we've got two ways to do that. For example, I could use connect. I need to get my my name. So this is my name. Oh my God, what's happened? It usually works. Okay, server, MacBook Pro, Gustavo. And we do it. And when I execute node.list, I've got a list. Also, if I execute the same one here, we've got the same list as well. So one of the things that's really nice to do as well is that we can use ping. For example, I could say node dot ping, node dot list, and we've got like Pong. It means that I could access the other application easily. So imagine that we're going to create a module, and in this module I have function called sum. I'm gonna pass two numbers, two params, sorry, number one plus number two, and we've got a function. To access this function, we could access that easily just using RPC and using a way. Don't forget about it. MFA, which means the like module, function, and attributes. So it's native from Elixir. You could use like RPC call. I need to pass my server. So what I'm gonna do is just node list at RPC call. Now I need to pass my function, my module, my function, and the attributes, for example, 4 and 9. And now, when we do it, we've got the result, and the module is in this application, which is really nice way to access system. So we started learning how a distributed system works in Elixir, and it's really nice. And you saw how easy it is to do that. We only need to get the address. I'm always going to call this guy an address, and we only need to send like a function. So it's almost the same like here, sum 4 or 3 and 4. It's almost the same. The difference is that we are using an RPC, which is really powerful in my opinion. So I like it a lot. So now we created our process, and we are going to start using processing calls. So to do that, I'm going to open the project that we've created. And what I'm going to do is get rid of all of those stuffs. And now we're going to create a function called handle stock, and we're going to pass the state. In this case, the state is going to be very important for us. And we're going to receive, if you never worked using process, spawn, send, receive, and handling with process, I strongly recommend you to watch a video that we have in our YouTube channel. And now what we're gonna do, I'm not going to explain. I'm not going to explain this stuff because it's important to you to understand. If I stop this recording to explaining how process works, we're going to spend a lot of time. So first of all, we're going to have a function called product, and we are going to say like stock updated will be like product stock, and we're going to keep the state. So this is what we're going to do. And if we send a message like status, we are going to log some informations like inspect stock, and we call this function, and stock as well. And we can say like right here, stock updated, just to log those stuffs. So now what we're gonna do is using like ix dash dash s name server dash s mix. So this is everything that we need. So what we can do here, it's like let's create our stock. So to create that, we can use like the function is product stock spawn. We're going to say that handle stock, and our state will be an empty. And same way, module function and attributes, we're going to register saying that this is a stock for shoes. Um, register shoes, and it's true. Now, you probably know a little bit more, a little bit how process work and how to keep the state. So if you have any question, you can ask me in this chat. I'm going to see that as well. And what we're gonna do is let's insert a new product in our stock. So we're gonna do something like send uh, shoes. I'm going to add a new shoes. I like to do this way. Add Nike. We're gonna say like add, and our product name will be Nike, and the quantity will say 3. Oops, my bad, sorry. Now send to shoes, add Nike. So as you can see, we are logging the informations, and if we use something like process dot info self messages, as you can see, we don't have message. Now, because we've got a client, in this case, client means almost nothing for now, but we can access the same process right here. How are you gonna do that? So I'm gonna give you some advice for you. So we've got our process ID, process name, and we've got our server address as well. So one of the things that we can do is just like node list. I'm going to say address node address stock. Oops, my bad, it's empty. Let's connect again using this way. Now we've got our address, and one of the things that we're gonna do, we've got maybe we can think in this case, makes the things easier to think that we have, for example, we have the address like for a company, and we have a store. The store will be our process ID. So for example, we can say like a room. Maybe the state will be a room, and our room will be like shoes. We're going just store informations and get informations in this room. For example, I want to see all the Nike quantities. I'm going to open this room. I need to go to this address, and I need to open the door and check how many shoes we have. So that's a way for me that's simpler to understand this kind of call that we're gonna do. So I'm going to say check shoes. I'm gonna say room and address stock. And now I'm going to get the information. So what I'm gonna do is send check shoes, and I'm going to say only status. As you can see, the information comes right here because we've got an IO inspect here. But in my opinion, it's okay and it works, but we have a funnier way to handle with this guy. And how we're gonna do that, it's really nice. Just one more thing that we can do is like we can add shoes as well, like add Adidas. I'm gonna say add, and our product will be name will be Adidas. I'm gonna say quantity, we have 10, and now send check shoes and add Adidas. And there you go. So if I try to get the state from this process, I'm going to say like maybe the same here because we're logging the informations here. So now, as we can see, we have Adidas and Nike, which is really powerful what we did. But one of the things that we can start thinking is that how about we have a way to um, get the state and send a message across the cross process. So what we are gonna do is a really nice way to do that. For example, we can say something like from, and we're going to say send from. We're going to say stock update. Same one here. I'm going to remove this message. Let me format this guy. And I'm going to say, I think it's fine just sending the stock. I think it's totally fine. Okay, we don't have from. So we are going to check the status. We're not going to centralize in our process. But one of the things that we can do as well, which is really nice, and I will show you, is that we're going to send the message. We're going to get the message. We're going to get the state from other node and other process state, but we can create a function like log, and then we can say like we're gonna send the feed. Message will be add, and we can say something like IO inspect, Erlang bit to list process ID, and we're going to say added new item on stock. Same one here, but status, and we're going to say something like checked stock. Now, what we're gonna do is just log process ID add, and same one here, but using the status. I think that's all that we need, and let's take a look what's going to happen. What's happening here? It's from. My bad, sorry. And there you go, we've updated. I'm going to close both here. I think you have learned a lot of stuff, and I think you made a lot of progress if you're watching this video now. And our next step will be like, we're going to say stock. And we're gonna say like, and what we're gonna do is let's create our process ID. What we're gonna do is just like product stock spawn saying handle stock. It's going to start empty, and process register. I'm gonna say stock as well. And now we've got the process ID. Let's get the connection node connect. I'm going to try to copy this guy again. I don't like typing it. Didn't work. Stock at MacBook Pro. Gustavo. Now let's get stock address will be node list 8D and stock. Oh my god, they gave the name stock right here. Sorry, I'm going to kill this process. It's process terminate. I think it's process terminate or cancel timer and exit stock kill didn't work. We need the process ID process where is stock feed will be 0169.0 and let's try to kill this guy again, but now we've got a feed. And there you go. Let's go back the step and then I'm gonna say shoes. Now we've got our node address. You can say now room, and our room will be shoes right here. And one of the things that we're gonna do as well is that preparing the connection. So we're going to say stock information will be our room and our stock address, and we're going to add Nike, and we're going to say add from. Who is going to send is self, and we're going to say like name Nike and quantity, let's say 2. Now send to stock information and add Nike. As you can see, we've got this information right here because we created a log saying that this number and this process ID. Let me show you something. So we've got our self here and our self. If you pay attention, our self is 155. And as you can see, we have 9214 and 155. It means that we have this node connection and we've got this process ID, which is really cool. Now, if we use process info self messages, we got this message. When we use flush, we read the message. When we try again using the info, it disappears. So, which is really powerful way to start understanding how our nodes work. It's really nice. One of the things that we are going to do as well is let's create a communication between those processes. We saw that and saw how it works, but now we've got everything that we need. But what we are going to do is that imagine that we've got our stock and we have our stores, and in our stock we're going to have stocks about shoes, we're gonna have stocks about t-shirts, we're gonna have a stock about computers, for example, and we are gonna have 2 stores, and the store is going to get the information from the stock, the server, for example, and we're going to have the information from the server. And other things that we're going to check is that we're going to have our client. For example, our client can go to a store number 1 and store number 2 and check if the product exists and maybe buy it, we're going to discuss about it, right? About this way as well. So imagine that we have like a pos.ex, pos, and we're gonna have a function called ask. We're gonna have a receive, and our message will be ask from, who is going to ask, product name. And in our code, we need always, who is going to understand, who is going to make this communication with our server is our store. So we are going to say that we're going to build a communication with this guy. So we're going to say stock address, and we're going to say one more thing to make this one funny will be what about we send like department. We're gonna have our department. We're going to say like stock info will be department. We're going to say stock address. Yeah, and we're going to say like send to stock info. We're going to get our status. We're not gonna add products, and we're going to say who is going to ask this status will be self, because it's the process ID. And we're going to say return response will be, we're going to send the response to from. And let me think a little bit more. Okay, from and product name. In our response, what we're gonna do is from product name. So if you pay attention, our status, we're going to send a message to our status, correct? The status will return for us our state. Let me just make this guy, we're not gonna kill this process. And we're going to use a receive as well. But in our receive, we're going to receive like products. And what we're going to do is just like case products using enum.find. We're gonna get the state. We're gonna use this guy, and we're going to say like and one.name equals product name. This will return, for example, new, and we're going to say send from print. We don't have the product name. If we've got the product, we're gonna say the same message, but we're going to print the product. And I think this is enough for now. And let's start thinking about it. So we need to pay attention right here. We're going to call stock, and let's prepare our stock as well. I'm going to say stock as mix. Just one more thing, sorry. Let's create another way. So we're going to send the print, so we can say like def show message to print message. I think this is enough for now. Oops, sorry, my bad. Receive and there you go. So let's prepare our store, and what we're gonna do is product stock spawn. We're going to say handle stock. It's going to be an empty list, and process.register. We're going to say that our department is shoes. We're going to create another department. We're going to say maybe computers, and we're going to say computers. Let me think about other stuff. Monitors. About 3 departments now, and what I'm gonna do is let's create the communication with our application. We're gonna say as name store number 1, and the store number 1, we're going to insert some products like add. Well, let's create our connection first. This is going to be our connection stock address. That's my bad. 8D. And sorry, I've got some questions. Hello, I'm here to Elixir. Currently, I'm going through a book. Is there any Discord to connect and communicate? Yes, we don't have a Discord. We've got a Telegram group. I'm going to edit the description. I'm going to include the link. Okay. Thanks for asking. 1.6 functional programming. Okay, I've never read this book. Can you explain me a little bit more? And just I'm going to keep following the tutorial. Sorry for answering now, but I'm going to check the chat frequently. So in this example, we've got our stock address. We're going to say shoes department, and I'm going to add Nike, and I'm going to say add. Who is going to add in our case is from, because we've got this pattern here, self, and I'm going to say name Nike, quantity 4. I'm going to create 5 Adidas, for example. And I think this is enough for this department. And I'm gonna say send our stock information. I'm gonna say shoes department and stock address, send stock info, add Adidas. As you can see, we added that, and I'm going to say stock and Nike. Let's check our process. And we've got those messages here. We're gonna say flush, read all of them, check the messages, and everything is empty. One of the things that we're gonna do as well is sure, I know I also have the official Discord for Elixir. Uh, where is this Discord? Can you share with us, Ruth? And Dave Thomas, it's really nice guy, but I never read his book. Now, another things that we can do here, this tutorial that we're learning is because I had a problem because we need to understand about how Libby cluster works, and to understand how Libby cluster works, you need to understand how nodes and RPC works as well. Okay, so let's keep working here. We finished our first step. So I'm going to open this terminal here, this tab. So what's happened here? Seems that my computer is low, or maybe I lost this guy. I don't know what's happened. As name, store number 2, mix. And what we're gonna do is making the connection with our stock. Yes, the Jane stage is really nice. I use Broadway as well, especially with Kafka. And I was handling with 1 million hashtags into the database using Broadway, Kafka, and MongoDB. Was a really nice tool that I built. I have this example in Portuguese. Unfortunately, I don't have in English, but one of my goals is starting translating to Portuguese. Sorry, to English. So right here, we're going to say Mac book Pro Gustavo. Now, when I use the list, you will pay attention that we've got a list of 2 connections. Also, I'm going to create our client. That here. Thank you so much, appreciate it. And what we're gonna do is make the connection, but in our case, we're gonna do like store 2 at MacBook Pro. Store number 2 at MacBook. Store number 2. Oh, my bad here. It's no connect. But one of the things that we need to pay attention is that we have the connection with our stock, our star number 1 and star number 2, which is really cool because we made the connection with all of them. But this client will only access our star number 1 and star number 2. So let's add some products. For example, we've got our monitors as well. We could say the same here. Let's use this one, for example, or maybe computers. We could say like stock underscore address will be node.list 8D. We've got our department or computer, maybe department is enough. Computers, and let's add MacBook. I forgot MacBook's name. It's MacBook, Mac Air. We're going to say add self name MacBook Air. Quantity, we'll say we've got 10. I think that's enough. Now stock info will be our department and our stock address. And let's send to our stock info and Mac Air. So as you could see, we added a project, a new product. And if we check our process, info self, messages, let's flush it. And also what we have two processes, sorry, three process, which we call departments, like computers, monitors, and shoes. And we have this product here, and we have our store. I'm going to access our store too, asking about computers in the department. So what we're gonna do is store number 2 will be no.list 8d, and I'm going to say has Mac Air. I'm going to say ask. Our pattern here is ask from self. What is the department? Computers. Yes, it's computers. Sorry, product name will say, we're going to say MacBook Air. Computers. And that's all. Also, we need to create a state, a process to have the communication with our stock, our this guy here. So what we're gonna do is POS on ask no params process register. We're going to say store number 2, and there you go. Now let's say store number 2. In this case, we're not using the Gen server because in this case, process is gonna be simpler, because if you create a Gen server, we will spend a lot of time. But it's a really nice challenge. It's a really nice way to practice as well. Thanks for a comment. Maybe you can do it and show me. I'm going to send you my LinkedIn stuff and my LinkedIn URL, and we can share some thoughts. So our store number 2 will be store number 2. Store info will be store number 2, and we're going to say. I'm sorry, my bad. We need our node list again. We're going to say store address. Now let's create our store info saying store number 2. store address. And there you go. Now let's ask on star number two. We've got the information. So imagine that you went to store this store address, and we're going to. This is the information. Then when you open the door or something like that, and I'm going to ask hazmat air. As you can see, we've got the process that checked the store, and let's check one more thing. I think it's fine. Let's use the process dot info self messages. As you can see, we have this message, and I'm going to say flush, but I'm gonna ask again. But I could use POS show message. And yes, we got two MacBook Airs. Let's try to ask another question. But in this case, I'm going to say MacBook Pro. And I'm going to say MacBook Pro. Let's make another question. Let's check the message, and we don't have MacBook Pro, and which is really nice way to check it, because we have the communication between the process, and you can imagine that we have like just another a lot of systems creating communication. Let me think about one thing else here. Maybe we can you can make the exercise after this video. Um, Getting the monitors, adding monitors, check if it has choose, which is a really nice. Maybe I can go to I can check MacBook Pro on choose, and I'm going to say right here, we don't have product MacBook Pro, and I checked that in our stock, shows stock, so which is it's really nice. I hope you enjoying this tutorial. See you on the next video, and bye bye. Have a great weekend.